Billions of dollars are being lost as Toronto condo projects are being shelved. And as more and more projects that are now being completed see new units coming to market, well, there is a lot more inventory than there is buyers. And that's leading to potentially some opportunities, but also some major problems, especially when you look at the new construction that is starting all over Canada that is very much the type of projects that are either the type that people are not going to want to buy or the type that people just cannot own at all. And in this video, we're going to discuss the major issues with the Toronto, the Vancouver, and in general, the condo market across Canada. We're going to discuss the opportunities, and we're going to discuss what the real problem is coming down the road, and it might surprise you. So if you're in the market for a single family home anytime in the future, make sure you pay attention to this video because it is in fact going to affect you. And if you are in fact looking to buy a condo, well, there could be some deals to be had, but there's a couple of things that you need to know before you actually go out and buy those condos. But before we get into it, my name's Nolan Matthias, and if you want the latest Canadian real estate and financial news, this is the place for you. So do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and hit the like button so more people like you can see this video. And as always, you can get my book, Mortgage Secrets, completely for free just by going to mortgagesecrets.ca and paying the shipping and handling. Again, mortgagesecrets.ca, pay the shipping and handling. And if you are in the market for a mortgage, that gives you all the information that you need in order to get the absolute best deal. Because I'll tell you right now, it's a jungle out there when it comes to getting a mortgage. And stay tuned for another video on this channel coming out soon that discusses all the major issues with getting a mortgage in Canada in today's current market. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's discuss what's going on with the Toronto condo market specifically. I'm going to jump in here and show you news headlines. We're going back to the news headline format here because the news stories right now are quite staggering. There's this most recent one from May 29th, which again is a few months ago, but the issue is becoming bigger and bigger. So I wanted to start here. The cost of not doing business, billions lost as new condo projects shelved in the GTA. And this article describes several projects, and there has been multiple projects that have been shelved, as well as multiple projects that have gone into receivership in the GTA recently. And it describes the problems with this. The first, of course, is the fact that many people have bought in these complexes thinking that they had a 2 or 3 year runway in order to eventually buy a presale condo that would turn into a positive investment. And many of those people are now finding themselves in a situation where they no longer have a deposit on a property that is yet to be built. Now, in addition to that, there's a whole bunch of other potential issues with this, up to and including things like the fact that trades are no longer able to find work, many projects aren't getting done, and there's one spot in the housing market that is seeing activity, but it's not the kind of activity that is going to help people who want to be a homeowner. And if you go and you Google the net worth difference between a homeowner and a renter in Canada, there's a Stats Canada article on this that discusses the benefits of being a homeowner versus being a renter. And well, the fact that more properties are now being purpose-built as rentals as opposed to properties that can be owned, that has major repercussions, especially when you look at the statistics, which are undeniable that homeowners typically at the age of retirement have a significantly higher net worth than renters do. So let's take a look at a couple of things here. I want to take you into the next one, which is the iconic Toronto condo project placed into receivership due to $1.6 billion in unpaid debt. This article is from October 20th of 2023. This was the first of the major receivership issues that came up. This is the one hotel in Toronto that ran into receivership multiple times, and this was very much the canary in the coal mine. But this problem isn't over with this one project or with the projects started by this developer. It seems to be getting worse and worse and worse as every week there seems to be a new article on some sort of development that's going into receivership. And then there's this other article, dozens of GTA condos put on hold amid tanking market. This article, it was posted 3 months ago. And once again, as you can see, talking about the fact that there are tons of projects that are being put on hold. And again, this goes to the fact that nobody wants to buy these condos that are being built. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And before I go into some of the other information here, I want to discuss the reasons why. Because obviously, during the pandemic, we saw this shift. We saw a shift from people wanting to live in condos and being close to the action to wanting to be out in the suburbs, have their own space, maybe bigger properties. But at the exact same time, we saw all of these new condo developments coming to market. And because everything was going crazy in the suburbs, real estate investors flocked to the condo market thinking that everything was good everywhere. Well, it turns out that there isn't as big of a market for these condos as many people expected. Because, yes, while there was a run up in prices in 2020, 2021, 2022, there absolutely was a hot market in those bigger markets, those single family home markets. And that led everyone to believe that the entire market was hot. And it was. Investors flocked to buy these condos. But at the end of the day, there weren't as many future buyers for these condos as many as expected. And that is what's leading to the significant problems in the makeup of the new housing construction market across Canada. And by the way, wait till you see it in a second here. I'll get to the single family home implications in a second. So, going in and taking a look at one other project before I get into that information, I want to show you this because there's at least one developer in Vancouver that was ordered to pay $13 million over canceled contracts. So, this was a developer who saw the rising prices, canceled contracts, blamed it on financing, and was found liable for 30 different unit holders, unit owners that had purchased pre construction with them only to have the contracts canceled due to financing issues, and then subsequently ended up having these builders sell these projects out from underneath them for more money. So there's all kinds of craziness happening in this condo market. And the question is it going to get worse? Is it going to get better? And what does the future hold for these condos that seemingly nobody wants to live in? Well, there's some interesting data that came out this last week, and this is a recent article from August 16th. Canadian housing starts surprise in July with a 16% jump. Now, this is seemingly good news, but but there's some caveats to this that don't show up in the CMHC data, that don't show up in these news articles, and you have to pay attention here because the question is, where are these housing starts happening? And I can tell you right now that they aren't new condo projects. And I'm going to show you some information at the very end of this that talks about the cost of building a condo project and how much that's gone up, which has made it even more unlikely that new condo projects are going to get built. But it's important to understand the fact that just because there's housing starts doesn't mean that there's going to be more opportunity for you and I to own a home. So when you take a look at this, 279,000 starts recorded in July, up from the same amount of units observed in June. So this, in theory, should be good news. But the question is, what kind of housing starts? And I can tell you right now, when you go and you look at the CMHC data, it is largely apartments. Now, some of those will be condos, but the large majority are being built as rentals. And when we take a look at this Canadian housing starts number, even though it's gone up from the previous month, the housing starts are still very much on the decline and still trending downwards. Yes, there are times where there are spikes, but the important thing to note here is that there's a decline happening in the condo market, in the number of new condos being built, and there's an increase in the number of rentals that are being built. So what this means is when you don't have a market for condos, you probably aren't going to have a market for rentals either because they are almost the identical property type. So if condos can't be sold, and they certainly can't be sold as an investment and people don't want to buy them, why on earth do builders think that there's going to be a market for rentals? Well, the reality here is because of the recent rule changes by the federal government that allows builders to build properties with financing benefits, with grants, with all sorts of things. And really what's happened is the market has shifted from building condos that nobody wants to essentially building rental properties that nobody's going to want to live in. So basically what we're doing is we are fixing one problem and creating another, but the problem is still the same. The type of properties that are being built are the types of properties that most people, especially families, aren't going to want to live in. And when you take a look at these numbers, what's very concerning here is that single family housing starts are the lowest they have been in quite some time. And not only that, it used to be that single family homes and condos were built at about the same clip. Now, single family homes are being built less frequently than condos. And it's clear that the single family homes are where people want to be, but builders continue to build the types of properties that nobody wants to live in. And this is wrong. This is just plain wrong. And it has largely to do with the government incentives. And what it means for single family homeowners is even though the condo market, the lower end market, is collapsing, there's going to be less available single family units, which means we're going to see this diversion, or potentially we could see this diversion between single family homes and condos, where single family homes continue to go up in price while condos come down. And if you look at the recent Korea numbers, it shows that single family homes are going up in price, condos are coming down, and that is very much what's happening. So, buying a home that isn't attached to somebody could continue to get more expensive in the future. Then, on top of that, if you take a look at what's happening with the actual Toronto sales, we see the new home sales down quite substantially, but look at what happened to new condo sales. These are down significantly, and the new condo starts lag about 18 months, which means that we're probably going to see about 18 months worth of supply continuing to come to market, which means that if you are the owner of a condo in Toronto, there's a high likelihood you're going to see the values come down. Now, that being said, if you're a buyer of a condo and you want to buy a condo in downtown Toronto and live in it for the next 5, 10, 15 years, there are going to be some opportunities to buy a property and get a very good deal in all likelihood. Probably won't be from a builder, but will be a resale from somebody who bought a property as an investment, who has seen the value decline quite substantially and subsequently is selling at a loss. And we're already seeing this in the Toronto market. Now, the last thing I want to show you, and this is the even bigger problem. So forget the fact that these rental properties are being subsidized. Forget the fact that we're seeing single family homes not built at the same clip as we normally do, but go one step further. Toronto condo development fees quietly increased on June 6th. The price to build a condo, the price to build an apartment in Toronto has gone up from $37,000 in August of 2023 to $44,000 in May of 2024 to now $52,676 in June of 2024. And this article points out quite accurately, between persistently high interest rates and sky-high costs to build, developers aren't having an easy run lately. Toronto has seen construction costs rise a whopping 40% between 2020 and 2023, the second highest in the world. So here's the reality. The problem is going to get worse. These condos are simply something that people do not want to live in. And on top of that, the cost to build them are going up, which is leading developers to essentially build the exact same thing, but as rentals instead. And if people don't want to live in them and own them, why would they want to live in them and rent them? And this is going to create over the next couple of years a serious problem, especially when you look at the fact that these single family homes are not being built to the extent that they should be. So if you are somebody who owns a condo right now and you're planning on in the next couple of years to purchase a single family home, what you could very well see is one market, the lower end market, start to fall, while the higher end market starts to go up, and the ability to purchase a single family home could get more and more expensive, especially as the value of the property that you live in continues to decline. Now, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen because there's always surprises in the market. But what I'm saying is that it's important to understand your risk. And also, it's important to understand that when you are looking at purchasing a property or you're looking at upgrading a property, what's important is you make the decision at the time that is right for you, at the time that it makes the most sense for you. Forget what's going on in the market. Don't try to time it thinking that you're going to get a really good deal somewhere down the road or you're waiting for condo values to come back up. Make the decision based on your own personal needs. Forget the tendency that everyone has, which is to try to time the market and wait it out and get a better deal and save a few $1,000s here or there. Move when it is the right time for you. Don't overestimate your ability to time the market because most people will fail when doing this. And make the move knowing that if you're moving right now from a condo to a single family home, that there's a high likelihood that single family homes are going to be able to retain their value better than the condos that you currently live in. Oh, and by the way, if you want to see in greater detail what's going on in the Toronto real estate market and the Canadian real estate market, make sure you check out this video right here.